My current guest I haven't seen in a few months on air, but I see him around at a lot of various events in the community. And Cliff Katona is joining us in studio. And if you're familiar with the name, it's because he's retired from Idaho State Police, but he has been active in this community and gosh, any number of different things over the last several years. And first of all, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Bill. I'm glad to be back.
I'll have you pull the mic up a little closer because otherwise I'll turn it up and then they'll hear my voice on your mic. So, hey, right off the top, the last time I talked to you, I didn't realize that you were going to be working with the Crisis Center of South Central Idaho. And we were talking last week, and I said, "But do the old business cards work?" And you said no, and you handed me the new one. Uh, but this is we we were talking at a meeting on Wednesday night about how this was one of those things that we don't necessarily realize what people are going through in this community, but we've had such a roller coaster with the economy, and you've got people who are struggling with issues related to drugs and things in this community too, as well. And so there has been a huge need to address some of this. And a few months ago, the governor came into town, and there was a ribbon cutting, and the doors opened, obviously, and this is an opportunity for people who I guess the best word is we're looking for people who are stressed in the community. They have a place to go.
That's correct. And if you'll remember, with last year, our legislators they appropriated some funds for a crisis center. Initially, it was going to go to the Treasure Valley, and they made the decision that we need one in the Magic Valley also. So they split the funding. So we are the third crisis center in Idaho. Idaho Falls being the first one has been open for approximately 2 years. Coeur d'Alene, the second one, it's been open for approximately 1 year, and then the fourth one will come in the Treasure Valley soon. So I am very excited to be involved with the crisis center. This was not something I had expected. I received a phone call and from the CEO of Proactive, and I went down, I took a look at it. I knew it was coming. And with my time that I spent in law enforcement and after my retirement law enforcement and at the hospital, I saw the need for some mental health a facility other than Canyon View or the emergency room. So the crisis center was designed to take some relief off of law enforcement and the emergency room, and it saves a lot of money. Idaho Falls says it is saving their county approximately $700,000 a year. It takes a lot of time when an officer takes someone to the emergency room and has to spend hours with them, and the emergency room staff has to spend hours with them. Maybe that's not the place for these for a person to go that's having stress in their life, some anxiety, depression, or controlled substance abuse. I'm very excited to be involved with this crisis center, and it is a phenomenal facility.
I know from when you mentioned working in law enforcement and that law enforcers, the movie version is or the television version, you're always chasing down bank robbery suspects and the like, but there's actually very little of that. A lot of the response that goes on in day to day law enforcement is dealing with people who are essentially just having a meltdown. I mean, they're having a nervous breakdown, or there's the stresses we mentioned earlier that you have in life, and your day to day calls deal mainly with that, and it's just checking up on people.
Yes, it's not that they've committed a crime. It's that they're in maybe the wrong place, the wrong time, and they've have a high stress situation that has come up in their lives, or maybe are recovering from a controlled substance or some type of addiction or alcohol, and they relapsed, and they're just having a bad time. Their family is just frustrated, didn't know what to do with them. For instance, we've had a patient that came in that was had a little bit to drink, was at home with his roommates, and they said, "You're out." And he had no place to go, and he was really stressed. Now, the Christ Center is not a homeless shelter. However, we do have a lot of resources that we can reach out to the community to help people with that. So we encourage anyone to walk in there. We're open 365 days a year, 7 days a week. We have a complete professional medical staff, which includes nurses, recovery coaches, and counselors. And I'm very proud to say that I'm the director of the security there as well as the community relations. I have a great, outstanding security team. Most of them are retired or current law enforcement, so they understand the issues in our community. They understand the issues that come with controlled substance and stress and anxiety, and they know how to deal with this. The crisis center is completely confidential. If you went in there, we couldn't even tell your spouse was there because we fall under the HIPAA rules. And most patients stay, they stay for 23 hours and 59 minutes. During that time, they're evaluated. Some don't stay that long. And then there's also resources that they can still contact the crisis center. Now, just a few things we've done since we've opened November 21st. We've had over 200 patients come through the doors. That's not including the ones that just call in. We average about 3 to 5 per day, and we're averaging about 15 patients per week. So just since November 21st, we are very busy, and we are doing a great service for this community. And we take in the 8 counties in the Magic Valley. However, we have had patients that have come from out of state.
I was going to say, you've got people who come in, and sometimes maybe it's just they need to talk to somebody, and maybe after a couple of hours they can leave. But if it's really difficult for them, you're going to find them somewhere else to go.
Yes, there are a lot of resources in our community for housing, and there are resources to further help them with their mental illness or their controlled substance. But when I've noticed that when patients walk through the door, the first person they're going to encounter is going to be the security staff. And as I said, I'm very proud of my security team. They know how to talk with people, and they talk with them, ask them what they need. Then within that hour, this person is evaluated, and they usually determine whether they're going to stay longer than or not. Um, some come in a little hesitant, reluctant. Maybe a family member's brought them in, and they're not sure they want to stay. But if they stay past that hour, they they usually do stay and they get the help they need.
And you just brought something up. It's not everybody coming in has had an encounter with law enforcement. As you mentioned, family members. So it's not necessarily that you were picked up because you were standing in a parking lot screaming or throwing rocks or something like that because of you just were having an angry moment. But people who family members obviously can tell, and if they can get someone to drop by, it's encouraged, right?
It is encouraged. Family will bring them in and sit with them and until they get go in to get evaluated, and encourage them to stay there, and just give them the support that we're here to help you.
This is where we obviously can save money in the sense that they don't end up maybe going to the jail or they don't end up necessarily going to the hospital. That if there's a way to get through all of this and find them some other resource, we don't draw on those more expensive resources.
That's correct. You really don't think about it, but for instance, if a person is picked up by the police and say they have a small amount of marijuana on them, okay, is it really what is the cost from the time that officer stops that person, makes contact with them, does the processing, takes them to jail? It's got to go through the court system, the public defender's office, the prosecutor's office, the cost of housing them at the jail, and it could run up to thousands of dollars. Now, if that person truly wants to get some help, an option would be the crisis center. If they truly want to kick their addiction and get some help. So it is a big relief off of law enforcement, cost wise and manpower wise, and of the emergency room. When someone goes in the emergency room, I don't know if you've ever visited there, but they get very busy, and sometimes it can be several hours before
Hmm.
you're even seen. I'm speaking mental health issues, and you have to be evaluated, and then they determine what area you need to go to.
For one of the things too for people who are hearing this today, and we may be reaching somebody out there who has a need for it. Maybe they don't know it yet, but they may have a need for it soon. Uh, they're probably first couple of questions. How do I get there? Directions and the like. And is there a website too as well
There,
you could
there
direct them
is.
to?
We are located at 570 Shoup Avenue West. It's the old Physicians Center. It's just off of Martin Street near the old hospital. And we have a phone number. It's toll free. It's 866-737-1128. And there's also a website they can visit, give some information about the Crisis Center. It is www.ccosci.org.
Cliff Katona is our guest, and he's joining us from the Crisis Center of South Central Idaho. We're coming up on 9:16, and we're at 25. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and News Radio 1310.com. The one thing that we haven't mentioned is that this may well be for a lot of people a lifesaver. This is the moment where they may find that opportunity where someone's going to listen, someone's going to point them in the right direction, because a lot of these people, I'm sure, are clearly at the end of, I believe they're at the end of their rope.
That's true. That's true. And they, like I say, once they come in and and look at the facility and talk to one of our professional staff, they usually will stay and they realize there is help available out there. Now, I might add, we are a 21 bed facility and people can come in. We encourage people to come for tours. We give tours all the time. You can come and look at the facility. The rooms you have individual rooms, very clean, nice rooms, a common area for the patients to visit and watch television. We have some books for them to read and some puzzles and some games. More importantly, though, we have the counselors and the recovery coaches that will visit with them and help them. We even have an area set up where we can assist them in filling out job applications on a computer.
For people who are tuning in today too, as well, since it's called South Central Idaho, it's got a bigger scope than just Twin Falls County.
That's true. Like I said, we take in all the counties, and I believe we've taken a patient from every count, all 8 counties, with the exception of Camas County. Our first patient came from Minidoka County, I believe, and we've had them from all 7 counties. So we're just about at 8. But like I said, we have patients that come out of state. Maybe they have family that live here, and they've left state um, for instance, we had a patient leave because of some domestic issues, came back to Twin Falls, wasn't feasible to stay with parents, and came to the crisis center. And domestic issues, that is a crisis.
Yeah, we don't think about that, I think, too often, but a lot of times, generally, it's a woman has to get out and get out quickly, right? And with not any idea where to go other than wandering the streets.
That's true. And not only is a domestic, as we said, alcohol and drug abuse, depression, stress, anxiety. I think all of us have had that at one point in our lives. Major life changes, a death in the family, mental illness, as we said, and suicide. We do have a large number of suicides.
I know you've worked with a lot of young people in this community. Got about
Yes.
a minute to go here. Is there an age limit at the center?
Yes, it's 18 or older, and there is no cost, and walk-ins are welcome. We do have resources that we can direct for underage children, um, but at the crisis center, it's 18 or over.
I was going to say, for people again who are maybe just tuning in, I just mentioned again where you're located at.
570 Shoup Avenue West.
And again, not too far from the old
Yep.
hospital. And we were talking the other day. One of your old friends actually is pastoring a church straight up the street from you too, as
Yes, my
well.
friend Keith Thompson.
Yeah, and
Yes,
he works with a lot of these very same people,
yes, he does.
which shows you that there are a lot of folks out there who have some common bonds and working for the good of the community as well.
That's correct.
We hope we can talk to you again sometime soon.
I would love to come back. And as I said, I'm very proud of our staff we have. They are very professional, and our staff. These people are there because they have a passion and they do care about our community.
24/7, we should point out too. Yeah,
That's true.
it's,
We
it's,
never
it's,
close.
there you go. Want to thank Cliff Katona for joining us in studio this morning. We're coming up on 9:20. We've got 23. Bill Colley with you as well on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.